All right, we should be live. Hopefully, everyone is seeing us. Uh, Welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining us. Tonight, we're going to be talking to Crystal Poyfair, who Mark and I had the pleasure of meeting at last year's TTPG conference. We're going to have a lot to talk about, from her reptile zoo in New York to her travels around the country doing educational outreach, research, and more. Welcome, Crystal, and thank you for joining us tonight.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Before we get started, I wanted to briefly mention the International Turtle and Tortoise Week, which is rapidly approaching. It's going to be April 21st through 25th. Every year, the TTPG and ZooMed offer free turtle and tortoise educational materials. I think the deadline has passed for getting those mailed to you, but you can still register for downloads by visiting links.zoomed.com/ITTW. Also wanted to mention our spring fundraiser is on Saturday the 26th after the Phoenix Reptile Expo closes for the day. If you have any donations for the auction, you can ship those to Mesa, Arizona. Please email support@TTPG for the address. All right. So I guess we can get rolling. Welcome, Crystal. And let's get into this.
All right.
So, one of the questions I had was about your zoo, because I think that's just fascinating. How did that come about? How did you decide, I'm in New York, I'm going to start a reptile zoo?
So it's kind of interesting. So my idea for the zoo was like years beforehand, but how it actually got started is I was living in Michigan at the time, and our family income was, we did educational programs, not just locally, but we would travel as well. Well, COVID hit, and all of a sudden, everybody canceled. You couldn't do school assemblies anymore. You couldn't do library programs anymore, birthday parties, you name it. It just was all done. So we weren't getting any type of, government help or anything like that. So we only had so much money to to get through, weeks or months without an income. And unlike other people's businesses where they may sell candles, they can just shove them in a closet and turn off the light and close the door and not think about it. Well, these guys need to eat, they need electricity, it's very expensive. Even if you're not doing any programs, you still have to take care of the animals. And we had no funds coming in at all. So we started getting desperate and started sending out kind of like little emails to different states and different cities and different states saying, hey, if we come to your state, can we do programs there? And everybody basically said no, except for New York State. Now go figure, because everybody's like, oh, New York State regulations, this and
Yeah.
that. And but there was caveats. So we couldn't do like the regular programs. We could not go outside with a mask on, stand 6 feet away or more, and talk to a crowd at a library on the lawn or a school or a birthday party. But New York State said, if you open up an indoor place and wear a mask and stand 6 feet away, go for it. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So you can't go outside and be 6 feet away and talk to people, but I can be in an enclosed building and do it. So we just literally took the chance. We packed everything up because we had nothing to lose at that point. Moved to Wyoming County, New York, and we opened up, and that was in 2020. So
Wow.
we're not like one of those big funded multi-million dollar zoos or anything like that. We started off with one building. It was, our ambassador animals and stuff. And then as time went on, because now we have a public address, everybody was like, oh, well, I can't take care of my animal anymore, so we'll just drop it off at their address. So all of a sudden, then we needed two buildings. and then we got 3 buildings, and now we're maxed out on buildings. I have nowhere else I can rent on our street. So yeah, it's how it continued to grow like that.
And you're not officially a rescue, correct? But you and
Correct. Yeah,
but
I
you
had no plans on becoming everybody's, dump off location. I have to turn down animals all the time. Um, Particularly red-eared sliders. Unfortunately, that's the number one thing. But we get a lot of people that also ask us to take in like African side necks and yellow-bellied sliders and stuff like that. Once in a while, we do get something, more exotic. Maybe not to us, but for the average person, they're like, "Ooh, redfoot tortoise." Yeah, we see them all the time, but for the general crowd, they're still like super exotic. A lot of them have, oh my gosh, some of the stuff that I have seen, I, it's so there was a time period where I just started like not talking to people anymore because it started affecting me, the stuff that I was seeing come in through my door. Some of the animals didn't even live 24 hours for me to make it to the vet. And it would frustrate me. I'm like, why did they wait till they're on death's door before they seek help? Um, and it's not just turtles; it's lizards and snakes and stuff too. We had a guy come in with a ball python, and he said, and we were actually closed at the time, but I didn't have the front door locked, so he came in, and he said, "Hey, can you take my ball python? Um, it has burns all down its body." He had taken a under tank heater, and instead of putting it under the tank, he put it
oh
inside the tank,
no.
and it laid on it, and sure enough, it had oozing, crusty burns and wounds going all the way down its body. He said it happened a year ago. It hadn't healed. He had not taken it to the vet, and it had not eaten in a year, which I believe because it was shaped like a triangle, like its spine was just at the top, and the skin was folded like over the ribs and stuff. So this animal had not received veterinary care or eaten in a year. And I took it in, I called my vet, and fortunately he was able to like see me that day. So we hauled butt to my vet, and we got there, and Dr. Chomosky was like, this guy's not going to make it, Crystal. And he goes, what do you want to do? Do you want to euthanize it? And I said, can we do 24 hours? What can we do? And so I actually wound up taking it back. He gave me some of the Sylvadine cream, and yeah, we just put it right temperatures. It was sterile, we used paper towels and stuff like that, but the temperatures, the humidity, and started putting like the burn cream on it and stuff. And that was in 2021, and we still have him to this day. He
Wow.
actually recovered. He has the scars going down, but he eats fine. It's but I've seen some really, really horrible things come through the door. I have a redfoot tortoise. I was actually called by the grandmother, and she said, "Hey, we really need to get this tortoise away from my daughter." Now, her daughter was an adult woman with a teenage child, so this is not like her daughter's 17 or something. And she said she lets her dog use it as a chew toy.
Oof.
And I'm like, okay, well, if she's willing to give it up, we'll take it in. It took 2 weeks to hear back from her because she had to convince the daughter, hey, let's give the animal to somebody else. Um, when I went to pick it up at the apartment, she had been keeping it as a desert tortoise. And so it was really, really dry. It was like very dehydrated. Its shell was a mess. Its skin was a mess. And she had it in a wooden box. She'd had it for 8 years. And that's where it lived the whole time. And the box was so small, it couldn't turn around in the box. It could go frontwards and backwards. And sure enough, when I got there, the dog was still using it as a chew toy. When I picked it up, the shell was kind of like chewed away, and the bone marrow was like bleeding out and stuff.
Ugh.
So and we took her and rehabilitated her, and we still have her and stuff. But yeah, I see so much stuff, and I never intended on, you know, being anything like that. But I don't know. I guess I got too soft a heart. I gotta quit
No,
helping though. But
I think that's
Crystal,
hard for anyone who knows what just amazing animals reptiles are. I think reptiles are tough to their detriment in that people can keep them in ridiculously horrible conditions and they just hang on and survive. So, thank you for
Crystal,
taking them.
yeah,
you're
Crystal, that
welcome.
move that you did, the just picking up everything and going, like starting from scratch in a new place like that. I mean, you gave up everything in your old life and just moved there, no questions asked, with just your family.
Yeah. So not only did I just like move, but so I was living in Metro Detroit. So you're talking like millions of people. And where I live at now, I'm not even joking when I tell you this. There are more dairy cows than humans in our county. All right. It is super rural. So not only did, I move everything, to a different location, but I opened up in a super rural location.
How do you attract people to come to the zoo?
So I'm really fortunate. 3.5 miles from us is Letchworth State Park, and that is a famous state park. It's always winning like these national awards and stuff. Is like best state park to go to in the U.S. So we get a lot of tourists in the summertime. So June, July, and August are our big months. And then after that, it gets quiet, which I'm thankful for. Like, okay, money's good. It's good to have money year round, but after those summer months, I really kind of look forward to just less people that I have to deal with. And, then it becomes a lot of locals that wind up coming in. So, but they usually come in during weekends because everybody's back in school and back to work. And then in the wintertime, it gives them a warm place to go to when they're tired of being out in the cold. They're like, oh, we'll go to the reptile zoo. It's hot in there. So it works out.
That's amazing. I don't know. I've lived in my area my whole life, and picking up and going is a daunting idea in my head. It's not that it's not an idea in my head, but just doing it is crazy. So, how many animals did you move with?
Okay, so hold on. Let me just touch on what you just said there. I will say I grew up with my dad in the Navy, so I was already used to having to move a lot. So it wasn't as daunting to me than maybe it would be for you. So don't feel bad, if it seems scary to move somewhere, But when you move a lot like I did, I guess you get used to it. But so I don't remember the number that I had originally. Enough to fill 1,000 square feet originally. Um, I do have a transition story of when I was bringing them from Michigan to New York. So we had to take several trips, and I put them in these like little like those tote like containers, the see through totes with the little snapping locks. And I was renting a vehicle at the time and going back and forth. And whenever I got to the zoo and I had unloaded like that shipment, I was kind of leaning against the wall and looking. And I'm like, "Where's the California king snake?" I'm looking. I'm like, "It's see through, right?" So, but I don't see anything in there. And I'm like, "This is a big empty room. Where could it be?" I'm like looking all around. I'm like, "Oh my god, did it get out in the car?" I'm like, "Oh no, it's a rental car." So I go out there, look all through the car. I can't find it anywhere. I'm like, "What the heck happened to this snake?" So I still had the rental car for a few days, and one day I'm driving down the road, and there it is coming out the dashboard. I'm like, "Oh my god, it is in the car!" I'm like, "Oh." So I had to rent that car an extra week trying to get that snake out of the dashboard. So when we finally got him out, I told the story to a friend of mine, and she's like, "Oh, you should name him Dash." So that's his name now. If you ever visit and meet Dash, the his
That's
little scary
amazing.
story.
That's funny
That's
and
an expensive
amazing.
California king snake. I had to rent that car for another week.
Wow.
Yeah, I've only done one big move with animals, and I had to sell most of my reptiles before I moved, going from Virginia to Florida. But I did have over 2 dozen tarantulas in the car with me. So it's definitely nerve-wracking when you have to stay in a hotel for 3 days, and like they
Oh
know
gosh.
about the dogs and the cat, but you just don't mention the 2 dozen
Oh no,
tarantulas.
no, you don't. You know, if I travel anywhere and I have to go to a hotel, they're like, "Do you have any pets?" I'm like, "No, because I don't. That's like work, right? They're not pets." So I'm not lying. I'm not lying. I'm like, "No, I don't have any pets." So,
Crystal, how many animals are at the zoo currently?
okay, so I know we work with around 200 species, but the total number of animals, I don't know. I'd have to
Okay.
count. But
200 species. That's a lot
yeah,
of
around
guys to take
200,
care
yeah.
of. Wow.
It is. I have well, we our focus is on reptiles, but we do have some amphibians and some invertebrates and a few birds and stuff like that. But primarily reptiles for sure. 39 of those species are turtles and tortoises.
So, of
Good.
those turtles and tortoises, what are your favorites?
I knew that question would come
I
up.
know, and it's a hard one. It's hard for me too.
It is because I'm serious. You put any turtle in front of me, I'm like, yeah, I like that one. It's like I like them all. Poor Anthony Pierleone, he hung out with me last weekend, and I'm like, oh, I like that one a lot. Oh, I like that one a lot. It's I can't pick. Oh gosh, it's so tough. So for aquatic turtles, I really like the diamondback terrapins a lot. They have like cool personalities, and I love kind of like the markings and stuff. Each one is unique. It's like some have a lot of tiny dots, and others have big dots, and this and that. Um, but there's a lot of turtles that I like. I like matamatas and fly river turtles and all that kind of stuff. For tortoises, of course, the Galapagos tortoise. I have one named Andy. Well, that's short. His full show name is Lord Anderson the First. So, but we call him Andy for short.
How
But
big is Andy?
he is 20 pounds now. I'll have to take a
Okay.
look at because we have like a scale, and I'll take pictures because we measure them and stuff like that. But I like redfoot tortoises. I like leopard tortoises. I like everything. I have a Holmes hingeback tortoise, and it's really cool. It's been with me now for a few years, so his personality's coming out. Whenever we first got him, like particularly the first year, he wanted nothing to do with anybody. He would just stay in his little shell or like hide away, and that's it. So now, he actually walks around, and you can feed him and stuff. But um, yeah, they're cool too. I like everything.
All right. So on that same question.
That's like asking me to pick which kid I like better.
Yeah.
That son or that son.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
not
know.
fair, and we won't hold you to it. Like I get the same way when someone asks me. I'm like, I don't know. I like different things about all of them.
Exactly.
So that being said, what species have you worked with that you find the most difficult to work with? Not because it arrived in a horrible state,
Does
just
it?
in general, you find the species very difficult. It doesn't
Uh,
have to be turtle related. We have reptile people and spider guys in here too. Just curious what
okay.
your most
Well, that
difficult
that
species.
changes it up because if it's not anything that like I personally have, years ago I used to work for the Virginia Aquarium, and the sea turtles to me were the most difficult as far as like turtles and tortoises go, because like everything's got to be perfect, everything's got to be right. And whenever I was new there, I had all the big bosses there and stuff, and they're watching me, and they're like, okay, Crystal, you're going to medicate the sea turtles. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, first you got to depend the squid, and then you got to shove the medicine in there and this and that. And you got to take these tongs and hold it out, because we're above the big tank. Like the customers see it from below, but we're above. And they're like, okay, and then just bend over and dangle the squid, and the sea turtle will come up and get it. But you got to give it to the right sea turtle. And I'm like, okay. So I'm out there and I'm dangling and I've got the tongs, and the sea turtle comes up to get it, and the tongs slip out of my hand and I see it going down. I'm like, oh no. So I didn't think, I just went in after the darn tongs, and they're looking at me like I'm crazy. But that was an interesting job. I think they wondered who the heck they hired. Because I mean, they're like, I had to work with sharks. I had to work with all the world's like deadliest animals, like the deadliest stingray and the deadliest jellyfish and this and that. So I had to feed the sharks, and there's this little walkboard that's like 12 inches wide, and I'm supposed to be walking on this and feeding the sharks, but the stingrays are coming up and slapping all the water, and it's all slippery. So and then all the sharks came up, and all of a sudden, for the first time in my life, I felt like prey. Now, I was always the kid that like stuck her face at the glass and was like, ooh, sharks, you know. And I watched Jaws, not because it was scary, but because, look, if Jaws and I met, he was going to be my friend and eat anybody that I didn't like at school. Okay. So I love sharks. So, but all of a sudden I felt like prey, and I'm like, oh no, fear came over me. I dropped down to my knees and got on my hands and knees and shoved the pail of fish and scooted, and shoved the pail of fish and scooted. And I throw out like, here's a fish. And they're just looking at me like, who hired her? Like, I'm cool, I swear. But
is that in Newport News?
So back when I worked there, it was called the Virginia Marine Science Museum in Virginia Beach. Now it's called the Virginia Aquarium. So this was like 20 plus years ago. But the one you're talking about, Newport News, I used to work there at Virginia Living Museum.
Yes, that place is, I haven't been there in 30 years, but it was super cool when I went.
Yep. Yeah, I love that place too. I like totally got sidetracked, Mark. Sorry.
It's okay, you're good. People are enjoying your stories. Trust me.
We did have a question. What are you most excited for this TTPG?
Oh gosh. Oh, so honestly, it's probably seeing everybody again. I touched base a little bit earlier about how I just kind of like pulled away from people for a while. I've been working in this industry for about 32, 33 years. And I was so enthusiastic and really into the whole reptile hobby world, whatever you want to call it. And there got to be like, over the past 10 years, I felt like it got very vitriolic, and I just, I was still passionate about the animals, but I lost it for the people, and it was really, really sad. So I kind of like disappeared from the spotlight, in a sense, from the reptile world, even though I was fully into it. And there was a friend of mine that pulled me out of it, and that's how I wound up at the TTPG last year. Her name is Kim Anderson, and we had become friends, and she's like, you got to go to the TTPG. If it's one place that you're going to go to, you got to go to the TTPG. So I owe all that thanks to Kim Anderson that I went. And I did. When I went there, oh my God, I fell in love with everybody. There was like so many amazing people. And some of them I only knew like by name or Facebook or a book. And I'm not joking. This is like how much of a nerd I am, right? So I wrote down a list of names of all the people I hope to meet. And I had a little check mark box. I'm not joking. It was in my hotel room. Glad you guys didn't see it. So I would go there, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so-and-so. As a matter of fact, Mark, okay, so you were on my list, but I didn't know. So check this out. I knew the name, but I didn't know what you look like. And I kept hearing that Mark De Silva was there. And I'm like, who's that? Wait, who is he? Right? So the very last day, I'm in an Uber to go to the airport. And it's me, Chris Leone, Anthony Pierleone, and this strange guy. And they're like, Mark De Silva. I'm like, Mark de Silva's in my Uber? Oh my God, I have been here for days, haven't been able to meet him, and now he's here. So I'm like, oh my God, now I got to be cool, right? And it's like, and I was so nervous. And so, I didn't get to talk to him like I wanted to because it's a short ride and this and that. But what was super cool was we got to meet up in Connecticut last weekend. I had no idea he was going to be there. I'm like, oh my God, that's the guy who's going to interview me next week. And that poor guy. But yeah, so that was super cool to be able to see him in person. But anyways, so I had like this list of people, and everybody was so amazing. That's what I loved about it the most, because you can go to like other reptile, functions and stuff like that, and there's cool people, and then there's like macho people, and the I'm too good to talk to you people. And this place was, everybody was so welcoming and friendly and helpful. I was just like, I'm in love with everybody at the TTPG. I'm sure there's probably somebody in that room I would not love, but I don't know who they are. So right now, I love you all. And I think that is really what I'm the most excited about, is just getting to be around everybody again, because that community is completely amazing.
Yeah, there's zero pretension, which I was kind of amazed by because, I was like, I'm kind of a nobody. I'm just a small time keeper. And I would, be sitting waiting for the presentations to start and just kind of talk to the person next to me and like, yeah, I'm in North Florida. I keep some turtles and tortoises. And they were like, oh yeah, I'm the head reptile keeper at Animal Kingdom in Orlando. And I was like, oh, that's super cool. And
So yeah,
just
Mark, we were on the bus, and I'm bugging Wendy. I'm like, who's that? Who's that?
And that
So
was Wendy's first
she was
time
helping me
too.
out.
yeah,
She was
yeah.
And that
helping
was
me out.
Wendy's
Oh,
first time.
and then I was telling Wendy, because I knew some people already, right? But I didn't know a lot of people. And I was like, oh, you got to meet Bob Kraus. I love Bob Kraus, So we're trying to help each other out. But
So
Yeah,
my first TTPG meeting was 2 years ago, and I was super nervous. I knew nobody. I knew one person. I knew Anthony, and that was it. Only person I knew. And the way they invite you in and they treat you like, didn't matter how low on the totem pole you were in knowledge, they were there to help lift you up. That's what they were there for. And that is the one thing I can say I'll take from the TTPG, is they're trying to do better for all of us to be better at what we're doing. So definitely keep coming. If you haven't gone yet and you're even on the fence, it's worth going to. Don't be nervous like I was. Don't be nervous like Crystal. Wendy,
I was
you were,
crazy nervous.
it's
Yeah.
just crazy inviting. And yeah, so definitely I understand where you came from. I'm glad you came. I hope you come every year going forward.
well,
I
thank you.
I can't, I mean, like when I met you, Crystal, within 15 minutes, it was like we were old friends. Like, and I met so many people where I had that kind of interaction with, where you meet someone and then you leave and you're leaving with like, oh, 45 old friends. It's crazy. The only downside is that there's not enough time to spend with everybody.
That's it. Because I can remember seeing people that I want to talk to, or people that I want to talk to again, like Julie, for example. We talked a lot at the beginning, and then I didn't get to talk to her, as much towards the end. There's just so many people that it's just not enough time.
Yeah.
It really isn't.
It's a great place to network. It's a great place to learn from each other. And I agree. It needs to be one more day long. I think the TTPG would kill me for saying that. But it definitely feels rushed. Like all of a sudden it ends and it's like, oh, what are we doing? So I agree with that. But what a wonderful group of people to be with. And yeah, definitely keep coming. So
And I feel like the place I'm at in life right now, is a very interesting place. I kind of like it. I feel like I know a lot more than the general public. So I feel like I do a good job educating and stuff. But I also, there's so much I don't know. And I see so many people out there, like at the TTPG and stuff. I'm like, they have so much knowledge. I feel like I know nothing compared to them, you know? And so I'm like, this is great because now I can spend the rest of my life learning even more stuff, and I will die still not knowing what everybody knows. There's no way I can learn it all in my lifetime. So it's cool. It's like I'm in a good place to, you know, teach the kids and get them excited about reptiles and stuff, but there's just so much more I can learn. So I consider it like an exciting time of my life.
So I have another question for you.
Yeah. The answer is
Being the
no.
fact
Okay.
that you're a family owned and operated zoo and educational center, is your family all in? Like, is this something they want to do and continue when you decide I'm over it? Or is this my mom's crazy, she likes animals and we're forced to work here kind of zoo? I'm just curious because,
No,
yeah,
that's a very good
is
question
your
because
family
I
all
know
in or
people.
not?
So they are for now. Um, I've always told my kids that whatever they want to do, please don't think that I'm ever going to be disappointed and go, oh no, you can't be a train conductor. You must clean poop, you know? Um, because the thing is in life, you've got to be happy. And I want my kids to be happy. Michael knows that, you know, I'm a cancer survivor. So I'm very, very particular and funny about doing stuff that makes you happy. And so I want my kids to be happy, even if it means that they don't want to work with me, that's fine. Um, my youngest son, he's still finding himself, I guess is the best way to describe it. He likes working at the zoo, but I'm not going to say it's like his passion. You know, he loves the animals, but there is a difference between, you know, loving the animals and then that's all you think about 24/7 like me. I'm crazy. I have a reptile disease or something. I think about it 24/7. Um, but my oldest son, I know he wants to be a writer, and he's won writing awards and he's written books and this and that. But um, he does enjoy working. So I think he's trying to balance that with keeping working in the family business and, you know, trying to do things on the side as well that he likes. I've already told them though that if something were to ever happen to me, that don't worry about what, you know, what I would want. It's about what they would want. So I'm like, even my belongings, you know, if you want to liquidate it, I'm not going to know about it, you know, so, but I want you guys to do what you want to do and be happy. So I hope that answers that
It
question.
did answer the question. That's awesome. It's great that your family's there to support you, and who knows, maybe one of them will step up and like, nope, this has turned into my dream too. So, you know, that's awesome.
So my oldest son, when he was little, we used to watch the Crocodile Hunter. I was already an adult, you know, and but I'm weird, so I'd still buy the Crocodile Hunter toys, even though I was like working at the bar at the time and in my 20s and trying to be super cool. And I'd go to the bar and I'd be like, yeah, I bought some Crocodile Hunter toys. And like my big problem is I can't decide whether or not to keep them in the package or open them and put them in the bathtub with me. And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, you know, it's like, should I keep them in the package or what? So yeah, I'm a kid at heart, even as an adult. Okay. But we would watch the Crocodile Hunter together as, you know, when he was a kid. And I think that's what helped, you know, him kind of catapult into loving reptiles as well.
So let's see if I have any questions in the chat. Dane wants to know if you have any Alladabras at the zoo.
I do not. They're on my wish list.
Oh, Dane's
Dane.
got 3 of them he's sending you apparently. I'm putting them
Oh,
on that.
so that evens out the 319 red-eared sliders I sent him. So, okay.
So a trade in weight, right?
Yeah.
Trade in weight. Perfect. So you have a pretty good relationship with Dane at his zoo, and you also have a good relationship with Ty and his zoo. You guys communicate a lot?
So, um, Dane and I do a lot. I wish I could tell you something, but I can't. But it will involve Ty. That's all I can say. But I just can't wait. Whenever it goes down, I will put it on Facebook. Dane probably will too. But yeah.
Well, we're looking forward to that.
Yes, I can't wait. Dane, are you doing any photo shoots?
I don't see him messaging yet. So
We're up to no good. Let's put it that way. I sent him a box in the mail, and yeah, we're up to no good. And then it'll be shipped to Ty Park.
So is there any species at the zoo that you are looking to add, or are you happy with the collection you have right now and staying with that?
Oh, I have like a huge wish list. I was talking to Anthony Pierleone over the weekend, and I'm like, you know, and I'm sorry for anybody that keeps snakes on here. This is, not a slight, but I'm like, I think I might need to get rid of some snakes and get more turtles. So,
Do
I
you
don't
have
know.
venomous?
There's a huge list. What's that?
Do you have venomous at the zoo? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt that.
So I do not. So I have worked with venomous. I used to train U.S. Fish and Wildlife, DEC, local law enforcement and stuff on how to handle venomous snakes and crocodilians during drug raids and illegal animal confiscations. So I've worked with everything from like cobras and rhino vipers and copperheads and all that kind of stuff. But I don't now because it's a very like family oriented place. I want the kids to not be scared. Not that I think me personally that looking at them at a zoo is scary, but sometimes when they're there with their parents, they get really influenced. The parents flip out and they're like, it's a cobra, it's going to kill you. So I want the kids to have a lot of very positive interactions with them. So that is why we take animals out, and it's very supervised, very controlled, and we let them touch the animals, touch a pet. Sometimes we'll let them feed the tortoises, stuff like that. So we always joke and say, oh, the insurance company doesn't like, when I bring cobras to the kids' birthday parties, but it's true that I don't want anything there that could potentially like harm or scare the kids. I just want them to have a really good positive experience first. And then as they get older and they want to, experience venomous or something like that, then that's on them. Because I mean, I've worked with them, but I feel like they can learn it from, a venom lab or something like that. Whereas I'm kind of like the entry for these kids to get into our wonderful world.
Now, the rescues that you take in or get surrendered, what do you have requirements? Like, are the animals needed to be tested before they come into your collection or anything like that? What's your quarantine procedures for this kind of stuff? Because you must be getting an animal a week at this point.
So we've actually had to put like a stop to it. And that's even with people, like we'll get telephone calls or like, if you don't take these turtles, we're going to kill them, or we'll drop them off into the river. And of course they're non-native. And I used to give in, but now I can't. I have to shut it off. If I don't have the space or if I don't have the funds, because I know darn well they're going to have to go to the vet because nobody ever gives me anything healthy. I'm just like, I can't. And I always feel bad. Sometimes the people are like, my child died or, this or that, and I can't keep this animal or I'm moving. And I feel for them. I do, but I just can't take them all in. And I follow quite a few reptile rescues across the nation, and they are getting inundated. Sometimes getting 20 animals a day. I don't even know how these people do it. It's insane to me. I used to work at a dog and cat shelter back in the 1990s and saw a lot of stuff from, people dropping off animals there. And we were a kill shelter. We were not a no-kill shelter. This is before the no-kill shelter days. And the toughest part of that job was you go in, because you get attached to the animals, the puppies, the kittens, the dogs. You go in the morning And there would be the X's on the cages of like the puppies and stuff like that you've been taking care of, because we needed the space there and not enough people to adopt. And that's what I feel is going on right now with the reptiles. I'm going to guess it's the economy, but I can theorize all night on what it is, but I'm seeing that big time with reptiles now, and it's a killer. It bugs me, but yeah, I can't
Reptiles are
take them
expensive
all
too,
in.
though. Like when you think about it, a red ear slider is an expensive investment if you're going to do it properly. And people don't realize that little quarter-sized turtle that they picked up in Chinatown is going to turn into what it does. And I understand why people get rid of them, why people want to surrender them, because they are too much more work than they expected. It's just sad because we really are running out of spaces for people. We're running out of people to take those animals. It's true. So what do you
I
do?
think I think a lot of people are shocked when they find out just how long reptiles live. I had a lady come in one time, and because sometimes we would adopt them out or whatever, and a lady came in and she said, I want to get a pet for my kid. And I'm like, oh really? Well, what are you thinking? What have you been researching? She goes, I don't want anything that's going to live over a year, so what can I get? I'm like, a grasshopper? I literally said that to her, because I'm like, what it, because even with goldfish, if you take care of them properly, they're going to live years. So I'm like, what do you get that lives less than a year that can be a pet? I don't understand people's way. It's like, don't get a pet if you're looking for like a short term thing. Just like watch them in the wild or something. I don't know.
Can you
I
guys
get where
hear
you're
me?
coming. Welcome
Yep.
back, Wendy.
Yay! See, we've got like really terrible thunderstorms rolling through, so internet is very spotty.
So, other than meeting the new the people at the TTPG conference,
Mhm.
what other memorable experience or activity did you find most enjoyable there? I know I'm assume that you went on the field trip. Was
Yes.
there a speaker that stood out that you were just like, you know, wooing over because they just did such a good job? Was there a species that you wanted to highlight on, that kind of thing? What were your highlights from the conference, if you don't mind us interacting on that?
So I definitely enjoyed the field trip. I love visiting other people and seeing how they keep their collections, because everybody does it differently. Yes, in a sense, we're all the same, but everybody has their own ideas. Like, oh, we can make an enclosure out of this. I'm like, I never even thought about that. That's awesome. Like where I'm at, we utilize everything. We have like the black stock ponds, we've got aquariums, you name it. We use anything and everything. The I call them plastic totes, but like Rubbermaid bins. We utilize everything. um so it was neat to go on the field trip and see just how they build their pens and keep their animals and stuff. And then as far as like some of the talks and stuff, I thought it was really interesting, like what USARK had to say about some of the laws and some of the things that they hear people, say at these meetings and hearings and stuff like that. That was kind of really eye opening for me. But so that one like really stuck in my head. But oh my gosh,
Phil's a
yeah,
good speaker. Phil's a good
yeah,
speaker, and you can tell that he's really working towards doing the right thing for, I guess we call it the industry on his end, but for us as well, that kind of thing. So
right.
yeah, he's a very good speaker. We gotta support USARC where we can. Which reminds me, if you guys have anything to donate to the auction for the TTPG and USARC, make sure you contact the TTPG info line. Right? Did I say that right, Wendy?
Yeah, it's support at ttpg.org if you have
Thank you.
anything to donate. Sure. So
So
I cut out a little bit. Did we talk at all about I know I wanted to ask Crystal, do you breed anything at the zoo?
Good question. Good question.
Yeah, we do. We breed a lot of like what people would consider like pet species, just because a lot of the kids that I meet, they're like, oh, well, what's a very friendly or docile snake or whatever, and so we'll breed stuff like corn snakes, hog noses, stuff like that, but. Uh, we breed leopard geckos and crested geckos, like a lot of the pet store stuff, but on a very, very small scale. Um, just because we're not trying to necessarily add to like a big problem. It's just a very select few where it's people that already are kind of like waiting on them. And then we breed for projects that I just want to do. Like right now, our Rhinoclimus pulcherima and sizes are laying eggs, and we got those incubating and stuff like that. So, but that's just for me. That's because I want to do it, not because some kid wants a pet turtle or whatever. So,
Can I ask what your most exotic, in your opinion, at the zoo is?
Well, a lot of people consider the Galapagos tortoise pretty exotic. I know we have some cool monitors. It's hard because for me, sometimes they're not as exotic because I've worked or seen them for so long, and other people, it's like, wow, that's crazy cool. Like I love the tree monitors I work with. I have like the emerald trees and the blue tree monitors. I have a Cyclura lewisii hybrid that I love a lot, and then of course the Galapagos tortoise. And
I guess I should have asked, what I really should have asked, is there a fan favorite? That's what I should ask. So is there one species that everyone comes and asks about, or once they meet him, they come back to see him again?
So there's a handful. The tegu lizards, particularly Conan, everybody loves him. He's kind of like famous at our zoo. Casanova, he's lewisii iguana, and a lot of the tortoises, like the big ones, like we have sulcata tortoises and stuff like Demolition Dan and whatnot. That
That's the best name ever.
So we try to come up with like cool names for the kids because if you name your reptile like Killer or something, the kids are gonna be like, oh, I'm scared, because you already get the kids that come in, or the grandparents or whatever, and they're already scared to death. So we try to give them like cute names, like we got Professor Chaos, and we have Butters, and I Tabasco. There's like a bazillion different names that we use. We found that the kids like connect with them better, and so they don't seem as scary, But yeah, so the big tortoises they like a lot. Now, I just recently did a program down in Virginia, and I brought a hatchling Kwangtung River turtle, and those kids went nuts over it. A Kwangtung, like this big. They all wanted their pictures taken with it. And so it was amazing because I was able to sit there and tell them, how, essentially they're extinct in the wild. I got to do this whole conservation message, and the fact that these kids thought that it was the coolest turtle in the whole world. And yet, sometimes you talk to adults or in the reptiles where I'm like, hey, it's a Kwangtung, So
Did they smell them?
So mine have not musked. Mine must be broke.
Lucky
I'm
you.
waiting for it. I keep waiting for it because so many people have like petted it and stuff, and they're just like, hey. But I always hear people going, oh yeah, they smell really bad. I'm like, I think I got defective ones or something.
So
Yeah,
that's a question I have.
Sorry.
Do only certain turtles stink? Because I've heard people talking about turtles that stink, and I'm like, mine don't smell at all. Like, is my nose broken? I don't.
So I'm with you on that, Wendy. Like, oh, these turtles don't smell. I've handled musk turtles. I've never smelt them ever, ever, ever. And I went to Anthony's and picked up those Kwantung river turtles. I mean, it's terrible.
Oh
I
no.
swear to you, it's so bad. Like, it was ridiculously bad. I'm like, yeah, these aren't for me. He keeps trying to give me them. I'm like, a couple of babies. I'm like, nope, not gonna take it. No way, not for me. They're pretty, but nope. Some turtles smell for sure. People say pancake tortoises smell. I think they have a little bit more odor than some tortoises, but not necessarily they smell. I think they just have a little bit more odor, and it's not maple syrup. Cameron Lamb says it's an acquired smell. You enjoy it after a little bit of time, apparently, like a good cheese.
So,
So
Crystal, are you still traveling to do education programs? How often do you do that?
Every week.
Oh, wow.
Sometimes every day, but every week for sure. I never know what state I'm going to be in every week. So
And
it's a
you're
crazy
taking
life.
animals, so I'm assuming you're driving?
Yes. Yeah.
um, is your calendar booked up for the year, or are you still adding
we,
more?
so we do have dates available, but some people like get crazy about it. They'll book like 2 years in advance. So I have to start making notes like in the back of the calendar books. It's like, okay, in 2027, Um, but
Michael asked a
it's
good question here to that conversation while you're at this. How do people find out about your educational program? So on top of this,
so a lot of it is word of mouth. Whenever whenever you do a good job or you're out there in the public, um, and people say good things about you, they tend to recommend you to others. So I found that that's a big one. I have tried advertising, what we call print, and newspapers and magazines and stuff. I have found that was such a colossal waste of money. I guess nobody reads anymore. I love to read, but yeah, people just don't buy newspapers and stuff like that anymore. We even did radio. That was a lot of money. Nothing from radio. It's all about now social media and word of mouth. Um, I I have spent so many thousands of dollars on like radio and ads and stuff like that that just had no return whatsoever.
so how do they find you on social media?
So a lot of times people will tag us, they'll share things. Let's say they visit the zoo and they're like, "Oh, I took 5-year-old Johnny here at the zoo. Look at all these cool pictures." And they'll tag, prehistoric world, and then people will be like, "Oh, I need to bring Susie there." And so they can just click on that tag and they find out where we are and all that kind of stuff.
So Prehistoric World Facebook page,
Yeah.
and then do you have a website?
Yep. It's prehistoricworld.org.
Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Let's see, we got any more questions in the chat? Oh, I think my chat's frozen. So
Oh no.
that's okay. We're okay. We got things. So, have you ever hatched any turtle species?
I have, but they're not like anything exotic like river cooters back in the day. And um, we've had, redfoots lay eggs. And now we got the Honduran wood turtles, which I'm excited about,
They're
laying
a beautiful
eggs.
species.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
are. I've had them for about 10 years now, I think. This is the first year they've laid eggs. They have kind of like an interesting story. A lot of my animals have interesting stories. There was a pet store here in Rochester, and the owner of the pet store is like a mom and pop shop. He actually passed away inside the pet store, and his daughter found him on Father's Day, dead in the pet store. And I wound up kind of buying out his store, and I kept these turtles because she was kind of like attached to them, or her dad had them for a few years. And so I've kept them all these years, and they just now started laying eggs. So I'm excited about that.
That's pretty cool. It's an interesting species. Not enough people are working with that species, in my opinion, and it's a very pretty, and it's a relatively reasonably sized turtle. So it makes a good pet. So I hope you do really well with them.
Well, thank you.
Where is the zoo again located? I know you said that in the beginning, but someone asked again, so I'm going to ask
Yeah,
that
it's in
question.
Perry, Perry, New York. Nowhere, New York, middle of nowhere.
Are there any laws or are there any restrictions that you moved to New York that you found very difficult in opening this zoo? That's what I should. What were the hurdles in opening the zoo in New York, coming from where you were coming from?
Well, I had worked with the New York Department of Environmental Conservation previously, like prior to moving to Michigan, and I knew a lot of people, that are the higher ups. So it was really easy for me to get the permit. So as for the average person, like some of the stuff I have, they'd give a hard time to, but they know me. I've done, I used to train them and stuff. They're cadets and everything like that. So, and then I've also worked with them like out in the field, microchipping timber rattlesnakes and studying them out in the field. So I had like a long history working with them and taking in confiscations and stuff like that. But they have some weird laws, like native species. So little Johnny can go out and catch an American bullfrog in his yard or at the park, and nobody thinks anything of it. But for me to have an American bullfrog, and I'm not joking, it has to be on my permit. So everything I have, that's native, whether let's say I wanted a garter snake or black rat snake or American bullfrog, painted turtle, that would need to be on the native species permit. So I find that some of it's kind of silly because like my American toads are on the permit, and it's like, there's literally a wild American toad that lives in front of the zoo, and whenever you have them, you have to tell them in your permits how you're going to keep the public away from those native species. So you can't touch my American toad, but you can go outside and touch it. But you just can't touch it in mine because I'm an educational facility.
So they can touch the tegu, but not the American toad.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
But yeah, there's like some weird little regulations and stuff like that. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Somebody thought it made sense when they did it, so I guess. But
well,
I was a kid catching bullfrogs. So that was for sure. So we are coming up on the hour. So is there anything else you want to touch upon?
Well, if anybody, wants to follow me like on Facebook or YouTube or whatever, we're always trying to do updates on there. I'm behind on YouTube, but there's a lot of cool things that we're always doing. We're always traveling, going on adventures, going to people's places, field research, you name it. So if you're ever curious about what we do, then you can follow us.
What big travels do you have planned? What's your next big adventure?
Oh gosh. So there's a few coming up. I leave at the end of this month, less than 2 weeks, I'm going out to Utah for a couple weeks and going to like the big national parks and stuff out there, hoping to see some cool lizards and whatnot, and spending time with the family. Might go by, I don't know if you guys watch YouTube, but Clint's reptile rooms out there. I'm probably going to stop there too. And then I've got a shindig in New York I'm going to. I won't say the name, but you probably know what
I
I'm
might see
talking
you
about.
there. I might see
Yes,
you
yes. There's somewhere. Oh, I'm going to Chicago the week after that, for Monitor Fest and whatnot. So there's like a bazillion things. TTPG. I've already bought my tickets. So Wendy, those dates better be right. That's all I got
Oh,
to
I
say.
hope.
I was so
If they're
paranoid when I
not,
bought the tickets.
you can blame me.
I'm like, oh man. I'm like, oh God, please don't change the dates because I bought these tickets now.
I swear when you posted that, that was the first. I was like, oh my God, I have to go check my hotel and my plane tickets. And
Dane says you got a date with him going to Texas at some point. Is that true?
Yeah, and I need to go to South Dakota too, because we're gonna play with lizards and stuff.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm his
Very
turtle
nice.
mom. Just letting you know. As turtle mom, I have to like give him like child support or something, I think.
Well, I really appreciate you joining us. Um, I'm glad the TTGB members came and enjoyed the. I hope they all enjoyed this. I have nothing else. Wendy, you?
No, I apologize for my internet woes, but it was really fantastic talking to you, and thank you for joining us tonight.
Well, thank
Very
you. I
much,
had a good
Crystal.
time.
You've been very enjoyable. People, this was fun. Very fun. Thank you.
Thank you.
And if you want to hang out, we'll go ahead and end the stream, and